Oh my god, chef. So now that we've gotten all of that taken care of, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back over every stickered surface with a little bit of Goo Gone. Yuck. So here's the Goo Gone. Now the cool thing about this stuff is that you can pick some up at a gas station, and it's super duper cheap. All you need is a little bit on your Q-tip, and you can just go wiping away at all of these little plastic surfaces, and none of it will be damaged. It's fantastic. I've used it for a whole bunch of my other G1 toys, and nothing has come up damaged. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little piece of paper towel and lay that down just in case anything bad happens. And what we're going to do first is I'm going to try one of these wings here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up the Goo Gone, and it's got one of those lids that pharmaceutical medicine has, where you have to push down on it. And we're just going to take one of these little Q-tips and just dip it in there. Just get it a little bit wet. Now I'm in a stable place, so I can just sit that there for now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rub this Goo Gone all over the surface here. And what the Goo Gone does is it soaks into the paper and makes it a little wet. And as you can see, it's already starting to bead up the paper and get it to just roll right off. Now this works as well for the adhesive underlayer. It works for just cleaning this entire surface. It's really working wonders just right now. This will probably take 5 minutes at the very most, depending on how much paper is left or how large the sticker area is. In case you have any kind of adhesive, any kind of paper residue, this is the perfect thing for it. It doesn't damage the plastic, it only attacks the paper and the adhesive agent. And look at that, just in the time that I've been talking, I've already gotten rid of that much of the sticker. It works wonders. And you know what? This is the same bottle right over here. This is the same bottle that I bought when I first started kind of trying my hand at restoring these G1 toys. I've gone through maybe 5 toys until I've gotten to this one, and it has survived through all of those sticker removals. It's great because you only need a dab. A dab will do ya. And look at that. All of that is all loosened up. Now I can wipe off my Q-tip and take a little bit of paper towel and just wipe it on the surface just like that, and look at that. It's so clean. The last thing that I'm going to do after I do all of this Goo Gone is a little bit of Clorox just to remove the Goo Gone residue, but that's just for the new stickers going on, because otherwise the new stickers will have a deterrent on the surface and they'll have a hard time sticking. So we're just going to clean the cleaning agent off of the plastic. So I'm going to go now to the stripe and just make sure that everything's all clean. The stripe removal was a pretty clean process. There we go. Oh, that looks nice. Come on, keep going for me. Keep going. And this isn't really gonna use much, but I want to make sure that I hit it just in case. Oh, this is working nicely. Great. We're almost there. Splendid. I don't have to worry about the Goo Gone drying on this. I don't have to worry about any of that really, because the Clorox wipe is just going to clean off any of that. So there's a practically clean, brand new wing, and it just looks so gorgeous. Now this one you can see a lot of residue on, so I think this will have a big before and after effect. So again, we'll take our Q-tip and rub a little bit of Goo Gone on there, and I haven't reapplied any more than when I first did that wing, and already you can see that it's just doing its duty.
It's duty.
God, I'm such a dork. So look at that. I didn't even need to apply any new Goo Gone, and I've already taken off all of that little linty stuff. That's all there was. And there we go. It's perfectly clean. It's all crisp now. I mean, look at the before and after on this. It's just, beautiful. There's a little stubborn spot right here, so I think I'm going to go over that again. You know what, I think anything that's left there is negligible anyway, and it's going to be covered by the sticker. It's not a significant amount of material. It just looks like maybe a smudge, so I think I'm just going to be good with that, and I'm going to move on. be sure that you take your time with this. This particular sticker is being kind of difficult, and it's not giving me immediate results, but it's already a lot smaller than it was. So just remember, if it's giving you trouble, soak it with the Goo Gone and let the chemical fight your battle for you. Rather fight chemicals than with elbow grease, especially if you're de-stickering a large figure. That's going to take a lot of time and a lot of elbow grease, and it's going to give you sore fingers afterwards. It's better to fight with chemicals. It's better to work smart than hard. I'm almost done. And look at that. Completely clean.
Look at it! Look at it!
Now, if your Q-tip starts to look like this, move on. I think it's safe to say that this has served its purpose. If you start to feel a hard paper underneath, it's no longer doing its pretty buffering job. So go ahead, move on. Don't even use the other side, because I like to use the other side when I'm working around and it's just going to get all over my hand. So I'll just go and move on. Move on. These are cheap. You can find plenty of them. Now, before I move on, go and move on.
Before I move on,
Go ahead, move on.
move on.
Move on. I think it's important to mention these little scuffs up here. These are from my sticker removing process. This is what I was talking about sometimes it's a little bit risky using the edge of your knife as opposed to the Goo Gone or even a fingernail. What I'm going to do now is introduce you to my little friend. More like, say hello to my little friend. See, because it's meant for nails. You get my joke? So what we're going to do here is, even though I could leave this untouched because all of this does happen to fall within the shadow of the sticker itself, I'm going to use this opportunity to show you how to buff that out and fix those little scuffs and scratches. So the way this works is it has a coarse grit to shape nail, medium grit to shape nail. Just forget the whole nail part and look at the fact that this is a cushioned stick that has several different gradients of sandpaper on it. I mean, this is fantastic. I wish they made something like this that was a little bit more palatable to males who gave a shit. This honestly is one of the most useful tools that I have in my kit. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to start with something that's a little bit coarser. So let's say I'm going to, okay, so side 6 buff nail. The higher the number, the finer the grit is. Buff nail is going to be to give it a shine. So coarse, where's coarse? Coarse grit to shape nail is going to be the toughest. 1 to 6 is your gradient scale. This doesn't look very deep, so I think I'm going to start on side 2, medium grit to shape nail. We're going to see how that does. Alright, that's a little coarse. We're going to go down. What's side 3? Side 3 is fine grit to neaten the edges of the nail. Let's see how that does. That's still a little bit too coarse. I'm not too worried about putting some scratches in this because the other sides are really going to fix it out. Okay, even out or smooth nail? Smooth nail, let's try that. There we go. So I'm taking away a little bit of that shine, as you can see, but I'm evening everything out and making it all on the same playing field, as it were. I don't think this is going to be that difficult where I'm going to get rid of some of the finer panel lines in here, but at least this is doing something to get rid of any of those blemishes that might pop up. And I'm still seeing a little bit there, so maybe I might try side 4 even out. Maybe we'll see how that does. Right, so I think I've pretty much gotten it nice and smooth right now. So what I'm going to try and do is go up little bit by bit using the numbers, and I'm going to make this completely smooth. So we've got side 5 smooth nail. There we go. I think that's doing its job nicely. Side 6 buff nail. Side 6 and 7 are really going to be the ones to return the shine back to this little piece of plastic. Alright, so important update. It took me a while with the shine nail part. For some reason, this particular piece was giving me trouble more than I had experienced on other parts that I had used that tool on. As you can see, it's not perfectly shiny again. But you know what actually ended up getting it to this point? Denim. My jeans. Just rubbing it on my jeans a little bit had restored more of the shine than I was able to return with this thing. It's really weird. I don't think I'm going to do this on the other side. If there's a blemish underneath the sticker space, I'm just going to be apt to leave it there. But it's good to know that when all else fails,
Rub it on your jeans.
So now that we've taken care of the extremities, let's take care of the main core robot. Now some of the things I'm going to go for first are going to be these intake parts. Now remember, I'm still taking over some carryover from a previous part, and I'm just going to go in here and wet the whole paper area. I'm just going to soak that paper. Because what you're going to do is, even if you have excess Goo Gone stuff, you're just going to wipe it right off. And like I said before, it's not going to come in and damage any of the paint. It's not going to come in and damage any of that plastic. It's just going to attack the paper and the adhesive.
Which is really, really, really
Great. Thank goodness for that.
Same technique as before. I'm just gently going back and forth with my Q-tip and just making sure, I'm not even applying a whole lot of pressure here. I'm just making sure that the paper is getting rolled up and balled up as I go back and forth, because it's getting wet and it's also being soaked and stripped through the paper and onto the adhesive underneath to help and try to roll things up. It's already working out for me, and it's going along really swimmingly. This is going to be over in no time. And there you go. Nice and clean. Perfect. It's like it was untouched in the first place. Moving on. In an odd way, I feel like I'm scrubbing his underboob. That's a sentence I never thought I would say on this channel. Now remember, if at first you don't succeed, apply a little bit more Goo Gone. There's no harm in it, and you can always wipe it right off. I was feeling a little dry on the end of my Q-tip, so I applied a little bit more, and I mean, when in doubt, just soak it. Really, it's just gonna get right in there. I'm not worried about wetness getting in between the pieces of plastic. It's not harmful to plastic. It's just completely safe to use. There we go. Now all that's left is to just wipe it off. Here's something important. I've just noticed that there's a little bit of pinkness on my Q-tip. So if that's coming from the red paint here, don't overdo it. If you've seen my de-stripification video from when I did kind of a stripe removal to reveal the shield Bumblebee, what I did there was I used some isopropyl alcohol to try and remove the black stripes to just get a pure yellow finish. And what ended up happening was I did get a little bit of yellow on the dish towel that I was using. See, look, there's a little bit of pink. But it didn't end up damaging the yellow on the translucent chest. It didn't end up ruining it, is what I'm trying to say. I think I'm lucky here, but just this is to you and me both. Be aware that there is a chance that if you do it too hard, there could be some consequences. Right now, it's looking like I didn't harm anything, and it's just okay. That could be from how much I used. It could be from how much I scrubbed. Not entirely sure. If I ever know for sure, then I'll document it here. But let's move on and see what else happens. I mean, the main important thing is that the red on the other side doesn't look damaged. So I think the fact that this is a thick layer of paint on top of die-cast is really going to help me here. Fortunately, there is no apparent damage, and I'm just going to end up covering this area with sticker material anyway. So things are looking okay. I'm sure that if I kept on scrubbing at this for another half an hour, I would start to see a little bit of that paint start to go away. But as it is, I'm still being as delicate as I can possibly be. The results are there. The results are still showing me that the stickers are going away and the paint still looks shiny underneath. I think maybe if you were using a figure that had more paint wear than this, maybe you might see some of that paint go away if there's less of it there. I haven't myself bought one of those figures in such a condition, so I have even less knowledge of what that might do if you put Goo Gone onto it. So I'm just going to keep on delicately going along as I've been. Of course, for the parts that are just plastic and don't have any paint on it, you have absolutely no worries there.
Dip?
There's nothing that can happen with those, because that's just plastic and you really have nothing to worry about there. This is barely having some kind of effect on the red paint here. My honest opinion is that there's nothing to worry about. Maybe a good practice would be that once you are done removing all of the sticker material, to gently and quickly wipe off any excess Goo Gone that's remaining on the surface, just so that it doesn't do anything bad by just sitting there. I haven't experienced anything eroding as it stands, so I think we're going to be lucky here. This is so far looking really clean. I'm not experiencing really any problems, and I'm not experiencing any kind of paint wear that wasn't already present. So I think we're safe on this, and nothing's going wrong. So I'm going to keep going. This is plastic, so this is just fine and dandy. Just go ahead and soak all of it, wipe it all off. That sounds really dirty now that I think about it. So I'm going to try now is I'm going to try soaking both of these kneecaps and just kind of let this one soak while I work on this one. These have no paint on them, so there's no problems of letting the Goo Gone just kind of stand there. We're going to see if I let it soak as I work on this one, if it helps to loosen up the paper underneath. Alright, so now that we got this side all nice and clean, let's see what happened to this other kneecap after it had a little chance to soak. Ooh, already it's looking like some of this is coming off a lot easier and quicker than the other time. There's a little bit of the silver part of the sticker up here in the top corner. There we go. That took a little bit more pressure than normal. So far, what took me 4 to 5 minutes on the other knee is starting to come off a lot easier on this side. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, it's just coming off in chunks now. Beauty! Yeah, terrific. That ended up being a lot less work than the other side. So that's good to know. It's good to know that you can let it get wet for a little while and that the Goo Gone will just kind of get in there and do most of that work for you. Alright, so what I'm going to try with these feet now is I'm going to cover them in the Goo Gone and just let those sit for maybe a minute, 2 minutes. Nah, I'm impatient. Yeah, not so bad. Maybe it's a good idea for the more stubborn stickers, just to let them kind of soak for a little while. Because it doesn't seem to be very, very necessary. Lolly, 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 get your adverbs here. Lolly, lolly. And here we are returning to the one that's had a minute or two to soak. Wow, look at that. I hope y'all appreciate the wordplay that I kind of put into the title of Camzilla Fixes Stuff. Because I felt really proud of myself when I made it. Camzilla 51, Camzilla Fixes Stuff. I thought it was fun. Not to mention, it seems that making something catchy is really successful to your self-marketing. Yay! Go me! Oh my god, Chev. Oh yeah, I remember this one gave me trouble. I'm on to my last Q-tip now. I had maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 to use on Starscream here. And this is just because I don't like the end of the used Q-tip covered in stuff touching my hand. I like to have clean hands. But with that all considered, I mean, you could probably use 4. I mean, these things are cheap enough as it is. Really, how many you use isn't all that important. But I guess I'm just pointing out the fact that it doesn't take a whole lot of money or material to go and clean up one of your G1 toys. You know, I still think it's funny that after all that time that I made that video about 500 subscribers, that I was saying like, yeah, I'm moving into this new apartment and I'm going to be able to make videos so much easier. How naive I was. Honestly, it turned out that college was just so much more busy than I had originally given it credit for. I tried to be frugal with my time, but it's like every single class takes up as much time as it possibly can. I did make a voice cabinet in my spare closet, and it was really cool. But I mean, who has time to go in there? And I mean, isn't it weird that like 90% of the time I'm like, you know, making voices just when it's like fun to, and I'm just having a grand old time. And then when I get in the voice booth with all of the sound equipment around me and the sound deafening pillows in there and blankets, as soon as I get in there, then I start to sound like shit. And I'm like, nope, can't record like this. I can't give this voice to people. Nope, I can't possibly. And all of that just goes completely out the window. So I mean, I suppose you really do have to keep on persevering with it. Otherwise, I really did get very few voice projects done within that 2-year amount of time that I lived in that apartment. It was a lovely apartment, and I wish I could have spent more time making videos, because this poor Starscream has been sitting in my room when I had that apartment for months. It sat there the entire time I owned it, and I kept on saving this and saving it because I wanted to make a video, and I had the materials, but I didn't have the time. There was even a class that I had to take. It was a miracle I made it into this class, but my school had a Harry Potter class where you could just read the books, come in and talk about it, and the professor himself, I mean, he was practically a magical creature himself. He was, I want to say, like upwards of 70 years old, but he was just such a cute old man. Like, he had a turtle head and a sweet voice, and he was very kind, and he absolutely adored the Harry Potter books. Like, he'd read them himself, I want to say 100 times. His versions are all tattered up and beaten, but he was a fantastic professor. The only problem was, it takes me a very long time to read. Because when I read, I want to say that I probably read at speaking speed. Problem with that is that, like, I read it and then I take some time to try and imagine what's going on in the book. I can't do what my girlfriend does, where she can just breeze through something. And I'm like, how on earth are you able to read that fast? How on earth? I don't get it. I've never had that skill. I take a long time. And that's the reason why all of my free time was taken up. There was a point in my last year of college. Oh, I had an overfull schedule. I mean, talk about Hermione, right? I had an overfull schedule of classes, and on top of that, I had to read all of these books that were lasting me until like 1 or 3 in the morning, just to read them by my very quick deadlines. We had to read all 7 books within 4 months, on top of all of the other homework that I had to do, and I had to spend my evenings crewing a show, because that was part of my my theater degree requirement. Gosh, it was just murder. I'm still amazed that I made my way through it, but needless to say, that's why I didn't do these stickers. But as things are now, I'm thankful that I have enough time to really work on the stuff that I want to. There's a lot more going on now than I have really a whole bunch of time to talk about. But long story short, I'm at home now, with prices for living spaces being as expensive as they are. Thank God, you know. At least I have a job with a family business that is relatively forgiving, that will allow me to make time for myself to do stuff like this. Wow, before you know it, we're all done. Those are all the stickers.
Sealed.
So now what we want to do is we want to take away all of this stuff. Oh, shucks. It seems that I've soaked through a little bit of Goo Gone onto my recording surface here. But oh, I'm making a mess. I'm gonna go throw this away real quick. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, and hopefully these don't leave stains on my base background, here's what we're going to do next. We're going to take some Clorox wipes, and we're going to essentially get rid of the residue that might still be lingering on the plastic. We're going to go to every place where there was a sticker, wipe it down with the Clorox part, and then, if needed, take some more paper towels and wipe that nice and dry. And you can bet I'm definitely going to be sure not to let this touch my background. But this isn't a very long process at all. It's just a cleaning to the cleaning. Get in there and break down any other kinds of oils that still might be there. This is also a really good practice just in case you want to apply repro labels of any kind. This is really good to get rid of any of the hand oils or any of the mold release agent that might still be on the plastic. Because what this is going to do is it's going to make the surface really nice and clean to stick to. While I'm at it, I might as well take the nose cone of the jet where a Decepticon symbol goes and just clean that down. Make it nice and ready for a new sticker. Just to reiterate, this isn't a long process. You don't need to keep on going over and over the parts nearly as long as you needed to do for the Goo Gone. All you're trying to do is trying to break down any kind of residue that was still there. It's not a long process. You shouldn't labor over it. It's just quick and forgiving. It's easy. It's just a rudimentary step. There's not a whole lot to say about this, so as long as you've got the gist of it, I'm just going to skip this for now. I've cleaned that whole figure, so now that we've gotten that all taken care of, let's finally put him back together and see what we've got. If you've ever wondered what a clean, stickers unapplied G1 Starscream looked like, this is it. This is actually really cool. This is a look that some collectors not only prefer for the sake of value and being untouched, but this is a look in and of itself that is quite desirable. Not only that, but it also looks very similar to the G1 cartoon, minus some key details that the stickers provide. So honestly, between Masterpiece and Classics, there are plenty of iterations of G1 Starscream that make him look like his G1 cartoon model. So for me, I like to go as toy aesthetic as I possibly can. I'm going to be looking forward to applying this entire set, and that's just going to look really, really pretty, especially when it's done right. So that's going to be in the next video. I hope you've enjoyed watching along. This is Camzilla 51, and I'll see you next time.